Now we're going to be moving from Wharton to the other side of our viewing area. We're heading up to Killeen, or actually we're staying right here in the studios with a guest from Killeen, Randa Daude from Omas Garten Pflanzen in Killeen, Texas. Welcome to Central Texas Gardener.
Thank you. It's welcome to be here.
Well, you know, Omas Garten Pflanzen is obviously German. What does it mean?
It's grandmother's garden plants.
Ah, old-fashioned varieties.
Right, yes.
Yeah, okay. And then Killeen is a beautiful hill country town. Tell me how, before we dive in, tell me a little bit about how your garden addiction led you to starting a nursery. It's almost always the story with these.
My grandmother was my gardener in my life in the younger years, and I spent more time at her house, so I grew up gardening. But when I retired 15 years ago, I really got into the gardening then, and then I became a master gardener, and we started growing and everything, and just one thing led to another, and people kept telling me, well, you've got such good healthy plants, you should be selling them. And I said, no, that's work.
But you didn't listen.
No, I didn't listen. Finally I started selling, and it's a joy.
It is a joy to work in the nursery trade. I know sharing the things you love is always a joy, I think. And you are going to be visiting with us about plants that provide structure and color during the winter time, which is a great topic for us here in Central Texas, because I think often winter's the best time to be outdoors in this area.
Yes, you can do all your prep work for the spring, and there's lots of things that you can get done when it's cool enough that you can't do in the summertime.
Right. Get outside while it's beautiful and enjoy the wildlife and the color that your plants are going to provide us. Now, we're going to start off by talking about an old familiar group of plants that a lot of people know about, but may not know about the different forms that you've brought along. And what we're talking about here are the Yaupon hollies. Now, this is a native that's widespread throughout the state, right?
Yes.
And these typically big shrubs or small trees, right?
Yes.
So the first plant we're going to talk about is the weeping yaupon. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's just a gorgeous little bush. It can be trimmed or shaped if you want to keep it into a shape, or you can just let it go. We'll probably get up to at least 15 foot tall if you don't keep it cut back. But the weeping form just is really attractive. But you just need to make sure that you put it in a place where you give it adequate room to do its thing, and don't put it too close to a house or a sidewalk or something.
It will spread out a little bit. It kind of reaches out and then cascades down.
Yes.
And beautiful red berries in the wintertime that the mockingbirds are absolutely crazy about.
Yes.
And I do recommend the weeping form because of that cascading shape that it has. It's really unique and stands out. Full sun really is best production for berries on these plants.
Yes, and you don't need two. You get lots of berries with one plant.
Yeah, that's a big question a lot of people have. You read places that you need a male for the female plants that produce the berries, but I've never seen a male plant for sale anywhere.
On occasion, I have one right now. So occasionally you get one in at this time of the year. If it has no berries, you know that it's a male.
Okay.
And if you really want to go into production, yes, get one. But just for the typical yard, you'll get plenty of berries just on the one.
Well, the next plant in the same plant family is a yellow or gold colored form. And this is, I love the bright color on these. And this is Saratoga Gold is the name. Tell me a little bit about this one.
Well, it's going to turn and be a whole lot more color than it is showing on it right now, because this is a little bit early in the season. It'd be similar to a light yellow. It's going to be a much darker yellow, and it is really striking to put it amongst other plants that have a light colored foliage in the winter too. To work it in.
So something that will really pop out. And just for contrast, we brought along a red-berried form too. And I understand that you use these for Christmas decorations.
Yes. When I grew up in Blanco, Texas, and you don't have hollies growing there, so we use the agarita and the possum haw, which is the one that doesn't have the leaves on it in the wintertime. That was our decorations with our junipers that we put on our mantel board.
Well, going native all the way to your holiday decorations, and I think that's a great idea. Now, you mentioned agarita a little while ago, and actually, we're going to go to the salvias next. But we have a group of salvia, which is a plant that really does bloom throughout the wintertime, doesn't it?
Yes, and this one in particular, I grew from seeds from Lomito, Texas. Gus Brewster is a native plant seed contributor, and she gave me the seeds, and I grew these. And they are 10 times more hardy than the new hybrids, the different other colors are. You can just do about anything to these, and they're still going to come back and grow and bloom their little hearts out.
Well, and that's one of the things that anybody who gardens with natives learns. It's probably one of the first things you learn when you start to garden with natives is if you want color, look to the salvias, right?
And this is practically evergreen around here. If it gets really cold, it might drop its leaves, but it comes right back. But it'll be one of the first. It'll bloom until it freezes, and it'll be one of the first ones to be back blooming early spring.
All right. Well, as we said, as I mentioned just a moment ago, you did bring an agarita as well, and this does have that holly look. I can see why you would use it as a Christmas decoration, and I think this is an underutilized plant.
It is. It is just a gorgeous little plant, and I had one native plant lady tell me it wouldn't grow in the shade, but I have one that is growing in the shade, and it seems to do very well, and it does get berries. But you will get more berries if it has more sun.
Well, a real attractive holly-like leaf indeed. So often a really beautiful gray, sometimes blue-gray leaf color. A very attractive little plant. And this is one, when people ask me what will grow in caliche, this is the native soil for this plant.
Yes. And this is one that you cannot dig up and transplant.
Right.
It does not like that at all.
Pretty deer resistant too.
Oh yes, it will be deer resistant, but it will be prettier if you prune on it more and keep it, especially when it's younger.
You also brought, I'm a big fan of the agaves. You brought an agave, and this is something that I was thinking, wow, that's a cool thing to bring along when you're talking about structure and color in winter. Why not think about the agaves?
Yeah, and this one being green, it gives you more pop in the winter than the gray varieties do.
And this is one that is an agave samiana, I believe is the botanical on that. And there are a lot of different variations.
Variations, yes.
Right, but this is the green form. And again, striking, bold form, great color, something that will certainly catch your eye in a garden setting.
Yes.
All right, right next to it, couldn't be more different, American Beautyberry. Now, you really like the Beautyberry. Tell me more about why you like it.
Well, the birds love it, and it's just something that is spectacular in the winter. When the plant does lose its leaves, then the berries are more noticeable than right now. It still has its leaves on it.
Well, bright color indeed here for the berries, and big arching kind of form to the plant.
Right. It'll get up to 6 foot tall. It can have at least a 6 foot spread to it too.
And this is a plant that I would recommend tucking in kind of in behind some other things. And then when the color on the berries pops out, it's great, but the rest of the time it's kind of a background plant.
Right. And it needs a little water. It does like the shade, but if you tuck it behind something, the one I have at the nursery is growing in the west sun, and it does just fine, but the other plants sort of give it protection in the summertime.
Yes, okay, that's a good thought. Now, the Texas Pistache is one that really will provide interesting winter color.
Oh, yes, it's evergreen, and it will turn an orangey red, the leaves, a little later in the winter. It is just a gorgeous little plant that's totally underused.
Especially in the hill country, I think. And we say little, but this will grow to be a big shrub or a small tree.
Yes, it will go up to 20 feet but you can trim it like a shrub and keep it smaller.
Yeah, and sometimes I think they look better with a little bit of pruning. And the color on it is terrific. I've seen some that are really bright red during the wintertime. And the whole plant, it's like a ball of red, and very, very, very attractive. Well, just real briefly, we have a beautiful sumac that's beginning to show that fall color right over my shoulder. We don't have enough time really to talk it through. But again, fall color can be had in Texas. The sumac proves that. Where can people find you in Killeen again?
We're at 2301 Old FM 440 Road. We're on the southwest side of Killeen, and we have a website. Look us up. Just Google Omas.
Omas Garten Pflanzen in Killeen. Thank you so much for being our guest today. It's a real pleasure visiting with you, Randa.
Thank you.
And coming up next, it's time for Daphne.